Good morning, YouTube. It is 10 a.m. in the great state of Texas, and we're doing another epoxy bowl project. 5-quart bucket this time. Going big. Actually, we're going big on this one, but it's actually not going to turn out that large. It's about a standard issue size bowl. So what do we got here? We got our waste block. We got this cool little clear piece of epoxy resin on the bottom to avoid that big nasty waste block from being on the bottom. But that's going to come back and look a little weird later, so we'll get to that part. So what color are we doing this week? We're taking the spare scrap pieces of wood. We're going to line them up like a fence along the rims of the bowl. And we're going to do some cool colors, I think. So if you've watched my channel for any amount of time, you guys know that I like to do a lot of color, a lot of glitter, a lot of stuff like that. So today we're doing a project color, obviously from the thumbnail, that we've never done before. And that color is gold. So using this black diamond, pure gold color, and we are going to mix that up in some epoxy, put that in our 5-quart, put a little bit of white powder in there as well, give you the big thumbs up, and we're going to make a cool looking bowl. So got everything lined up, used some hot glue that you didn't see, put the fence on the bottom of it. Now everything is nice and stuck to the bottom. Going to have that cool look and aesthetic. Got my measuring cup filled with epoxy, and we're just going to add some gold to it. So getting everything mixed up all nice and neat. You can look at that color. I love black diamond pigment. This is my favorite pigment to work with. It looks absolutely amazing. I love this stuff. Have never done gold, and I don't know why I did this, but I thought it would just be a good idea to put like white powder in there just to kind of give it a little bit of contrast. And you can tell it changes the color up a little bit, gives it a little bit more marbling in there. And that's what it looks like before the pour. So getting everything all over our epoxy, or all over our wood, blank there. So getting everything filled up to the 5-quart, like how much we put in there, getting every little ounce in there, and now we're just scraping off the top because that's where the faceplate is going to go. So obviously, just like our standard issue projects, 4.5 hours into the pressure pot, and 4.5 hours later, this is what we get. Cool little bowl here. So obviously the pressure pot shrunk some stuff down, not as large as we initially thought it was going to be, and I got some weird dimpling on the side of it as well. So you can look at that really cool marbling. That's where the glue is on the bottom, where we put the hot glue for the actual, wood portions of it. But not a problem. We're going to take those down. The dimpling, I don't know what caused that. I don't know if I put too much pressure. I do about 60, a little bit less than 60 PSI when I do these. So it's like hit or miss what happens in that pressure pot. It's really weird. So anyway, getting the faceplate screwed on there, and then we're going to get this turned onto the lathe, and we're going to make ourselves a cool little golden project with this blank. So obviously screwing everything down, getting everything nice and secure. Now we're just going to go ahead and throw that onto the lathe. Boom! And we are almost ready to go. So getting everything spun down. You can see there's a little bit of wobble on there. Initially, I was getting some kind of spray off of the actual blanket itself. So spray, instead of getting nice, good ribbons, I'm getting just like chunks of like glass, sandpaper type of, shards off of the blanket itself, which typically means that there was a problem with the mixing or the epoxy didn't set well. But I think it was just a combination of like the wood and the epoxy all together, because most of the time, superficially, most of it is just epoxy, but on this one there was a combination of wood. So I ended up having a lot better luck with just using the round carbide tool. A lot of the time what I like to do is take the bowl gouge and do, the initial layer of removal with that. But on this one I got a lot better reaction on the chisels just using the round carbide tool. Did a majority of the work with that, and now we're just coming back, getting that superficial layer off of the bottom of it so we can start the process of making a mortise. And just going back and forth here, a little bit different camera angle, you can kind of see down. Now we're just trying to get that nice round bottom so that we can actually start that process, getting everything into a nice cylindrical shape, and make sure everything is nice and even. Had this big chunk of divot on the top end of it, and that kind of took me a little bit, a little bit of time to get rid of, only because there was so much of it. But I love the way this started to look. Once we got that superficial layer off, you can see the wood on the sides there. It looks absolutely gorgeous. So once we got everything, kind of taken down, now we're just making the mortise portion of it. This part didn't take any trouble at all, getting everything just nice and built, and just coming back, hitting it with a combination of the square carbide tool. I got a small carbide and a large carbide tool that I switch between projects, so that usually works a little bit better for me. And then I just like to start with the actual parting tool there, and now we're just getting that nice flat layer so we can start to size it up on the chuck. And I think I went a little bit large on this one. Yeah, I got it in the first shot. Now we're just making sure everything is nice and flat before we go ahead and reverse it onto the chuck. And now we're just taking the faceplate off. Everything is nice and squared up, and now we can flip that over and get it done. So once we got that onto the chuck itself, now all we're doing is coming back and getting rid of that nasty waste block, getting everything taken down using the round carbide tool. I'll come back, hit it with the actual square carbide tool here in a little bit, as you can see there. And if you're wondering why I leave the tailstock on there, it just gives it a lot more stabilization. So I like just to make everything nice and even before I end up taking the tailstock off. I feel like I get a lot better secured piece on the lathe with the tailstock. And then I just come back and hit it with the square carbide tool before I start to remove that center portion of it. I just like to know that it's not going to fly off the lathe. If you've watched my channel, a lot of things have come off and hit me in the face on my lathe a lot of the time. So I'm just a little bit more paranoid about that. So that's why we leave the tailstock on there. So started the gouging process, and that pine board worked like butter. Just worked through that real nice and even. And now we're just coming back, getting rid of the pine board. I have found that since I have started to use that little square cube piece of epoxy on the bottom, I like this to get through the pine, see where the bottom is, and then start working the outer edges. I find that to be a lot better for my gouging portion of it. And for this one, not a whole lot of problems. This project actually went really smooth once we worked through the pine board, came back, hit it with a combination of the bull gouge, the round, and square carbide tool. And you can see here we're getting a lot of good material off, and we're just going back, working the edges back and forth, back and forth. Here's a little bit different angle, and you can see just the good ribbons that we're getting off of there. Real nice and sharp tools. Everything is going very, very smooth. I gotta say, this is probably one of the most smooth projects I've ever done, and it looks absolutely stunning. As you can see by the thumbnail, I really love the way this thing turned out. I'm going to call this one the Golden Bull, I think. But the gouging portion went really, really smooth. Like I said, not a whole lot of issues. If you just really take your time and get more experience, these things tend to work out a little bit better. And this one was definitely one of those projects where everything just kind of, went my way and everything worked, really well. So here I am, a little bit different angle. I'm trying to play with like some different angles and make these videos a little bit more interesting. Here's, me, what I can see from, this is like you looking at me, obviously, turning this project. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's 1:30 in the morning when I'm doing this commentary, so I'm all over the place. But here's my angle. Here I am adjusting the banjo and everything, and just, getting good material off. You can see that it's all over the wall. It's hitting me in the face. Wear your respirator, your safety equipment. It was kind of cold in Texas when I did this one. I did this one back in November. You guys are probably watching this in the summertime of 2022. I did this all the way back in November of 2021. So little chilly in the workshop for me at this point. So once we got all of that done, here are all the beautiful ribbons. Workshop is absolutely a mess. That's what the blank looks like before we start the sanding portion of it. Got it all nice and gouged out. You can see that cool yellow golden tint to the shavings. Looks absolutely gorgeous. Love the way this turned out. Workbench is completely covered. So got everything cleaned up. I skipped the sanding portion of it because I hate sanding. So 340 all the way up to 1500. Then coming back, hitting it with the micro mesh. And then we're going to finish it off with our wood wax that I absolutely love. You can see the color in this absolutely pops. Love how this one turned out. One of my one of my best projects, I'm going to say. This one looks absolutely beautiful. Only thing I don't like is so that, blank piece of epoxy on the bottom kind of takes away from the aesthetic of it. But overall, really happy the way this turned out. Nice golden color. I'm going to come back and just do a simple golden project like this in the future, something very similar. But I'm probably not going to add the white powder into it next time. Just keep it completely gold and maybe add some gold glitter as well. I always love to add glitter. No glitter in this project, but you can see that nice golden color. Looks absolutely beautiful. Stunning. And that's what it is after we're all nice and done. So there it is. So hope you guys liked the project. Hope you guys got something out of it. Again, you can see that little spot on the bottom. But overall, it looks a lot better than that big, nasty pine waste block that I used to do. So hope you guys got something out of it. Hope you guys liked it. Beautiful project. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave a comment. Share it. All that good stuff. And there it is. Final project. Absolutely beautiful. And I'll see you guys in the next project. Peace. Okay, so project is done. And there we go. This cool golden color. I really love this. And I did not think this through. Clear little peg on the bottom. I mean, it's better than having that big, nasty waste block in the middle. But now we kind of have this, gap in the middle. But overall, I really like it. I really like the way it turned out. It looks absolutely beautiful. It's raining outside. Today is November 27th of 2021. You guys are probably watching this in the spring or early summer, somewhere around there next year, 2022. So really love the way this turned out. Surprisingly, not a whole lot of problems. Commentary, I'm sure I went all over all of that. But really love this color. Love the way it looks on the sides using the wood. Using that scrap for something, useful. But overall, really happy with it. So hope you guys like the project. I got to go watch Texas Tech likely lose to Baylor. It's Saturday, so football time. So hope you guys liked it. Hope you got something out of it. Don't forget to subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next project. Peace.